hitman who was sent up here from Detroit to kill a couple of people that had information on a drug kingpin. And the other guy was this guy named Ronald Turpin. Sorry. He was a petty thief. He stole about $600 from a Red Rooster restaurant in Toronto, but on his escape, he ran into a policeman named Fred Nash, and they got into a scuffle, and he ended up fatally wounding the policeman. He shot him and killed him. So as you can imagine, in the 1960s, this was still one of the last things that would get you executed. So those two were the last guys, and the priest that spent time with them, he campaigned really hard to get both of these guys pardoned, because, I mean, forget the fact that there's no death penalty today, but if they were tried today, a lot of people speculate that they wouldn't get anything closest to the most severe sentence, especially the hitman, Lucas. The doctor that evaluated him at the time said that he had a very low IQ. I mean, he signed into the Waverly Hotel on College and Spadina under his own name, and he just threw the murder weapon outside of the car when he was done. You know, he was a very good man. These are things that I would do, right? So, you know, and then the other guy, he maintained to the end, Turpin, that he killed the policeman in self-defense. Okay? But, you know, the pardon never came, and they became the last two casualties, you know, if you want to call it that, of our country's allowance of the death penalty, and in stark contrast to the people that would stay alive forever just hanging by the rope waiting to, you know, strangled to death. Lucas, he had syphilis, right? So the muscles and connective tissues in his neck were very weak. So if anyone wants to take a guess as to what happened to him the second he caught the length of the rope.
Decapitated?
He was decapitated. His head lopped off, so his body went that way, his head went that way, and the guy was on the other, right, you know, back to back. He was on the other side of him. And yeah, so a guard or a police officer that was on site described the hanging, his decapitation, as being like a water pipe that burst. So everyone at the bottom would have been sprayed by blood.
The guy that killed George Brown, he was...
Yep, George Bennett. He was actually our second hanging. So this was in the 1880s.
Oh,
yeah, he was hanged here. We believe, or I've heard, that he might have been one of the three bodies that wasn't claimed. Yep. So he's our second most famous hanging here. Yeah. After I'm collectively referring to the Board Gang as our first.
Oh, okay.
Most.
Yeah.
So have you guys heard of the Board Gang?
Very much so.
Yeah, a big part of Toronto's history and a big part of the Don Jail's history. So actually I'll take you to that cell right now. It's the last stop on the tour. It's the Board Gang cell. For some reason it's called Death Row. Now a big thing about this prison was that there's, as far as we know, no segregation between, you know, people that were supposed to die and, you know, petty criminals, right? There's no segregation among the criminals. For whatever reason, the Board Gang cell is called Death Row, which leads me to speculate that after the Board Gang had vacated that cell, they finally did start using, you know, they finally did implement a death row in this prison. But the reason I'm taking you there has nothing to do with death row. It has to do with the Board Gang. So, on that note, I'll take you there right now.